up? When it comes to Native American tribes, the Osage tribe is an especially interesting one. From the government kicking them out of their homeland, to becoming insanely rich, to even being murdered for their money, the Osage tribe has truly been put on a roller coaster by the American government. The debate is whether or not the American government had the right to remove the Osage from their ancestral grounds, just for the sake of American expansionism. This debate goes back to their very first encounter. According to legend, the Osage tribe originated around the Green River in Kentucky. Their tribe expanded across the majority of the Midwest, mainly sticking to rivers like the Mississippi River and the Ohio River. Here they practiced the usual Native American traditions, like hunting, gathering, dancing, the usual. The men liked to do things like go on hunting parties and fight other tribes. This drawing shows a group of male warriors preparing to fight with their hatchets. And this drawing shows a hunting party chasing after buffalo and black and white longhorn. The tribe would live like this peacefully for a long time. That was until in 1803, when Thomas Jefferson bought 827,000 square miles of land west of the Mississippi River. He bought this land from the French, and this was known as the Louisiana Purchase. Jefferson's goal was to buy more land for Americans to move into during this era of expansion. Though the American government now owned the land, Native Americans still lived in the territory, including the Osage tribe. So the government either had to share the land with the tribes, or kick them off their sacred ancestral homeland that they've been living on for centuries. The Osage didn't want to move off their land, but they had no choice. It was either leave your land and live, or die. The entirety of the Osage tribe was relocated onto a small plot of land in northern Oklahoma. Here they were left with nothing to help them start a new life. Many died to starvation because they were not accustomed to their new environment. They were used to hunting buffalo and gathering food, but there's no more buffalo left to hunt in their small area of land. The government took advantage of their situation to force the white man's way onto the tribe. The government would give out rations to the tribe, but only if they learned how to dress, talk, farm, and go to church like the normal white man does. The Osage people were dying, so they had no option but to do what they were told. The government didn't stop there. They continued to intervene with Osage affairs. For example, in the late 1890s, the government took the land the tribe had settled on and divided it up into separate plots for each of the families. This was just another way to assimilate the Osage with the white man's culture. The families had to live on separate plots and set up together as one big group. More fuel to the debate that the government was too involved with Indian affairs. Was it necessary for the advancement of the United States? Or was it just to prove your racial dominance over the Native American tribe? Now you may be wondering, how did the Osage Indians get so rich? Well, let me tell you. In 1897, oil reserves were discovered underneath the Osage territory. Now you may be thinking, a bit of oil, no big deal. Wrong. This oil covered over all of the Osage territory. In an instant, a town of shacks and sacks turned into a city of pubs and studs. Though this was a time of prohibition, so there was no alcohol allowed in the town. Legally, hordes of oil companies, businessmen, ranchers, and white men started flocking towards the oil. They all wanted a piece of the pie, a slice of the cake, a drop of the oil. And you already know, the government isn't going to let the Osage Indians do whatever they want with this newfound wealth. Though the government couldn't claim the oil as their own, because the land was the tribes and the tribes alone, they still could restrict what the Osage people could do with the money. In 1921, the government put in place a guardian program which assigned a guardian to every single Osage Indian who owned a mineral right. This was put into place because white people at the time didn't believe that the Native Americans could handle their own money. These guardians would hold on to the Osage money and restrict the amount they could spend at a certain time. Kind of like how your parents try to control your screen time.
Put your phone down and play outside. I don't want to, Mom.
Instead of looking after the money, most guardians would steal it and buy luxurious properties and cars, while the rightful owner would starve and in some cases die. And guess what the government did about it? That's right, nothing. The Osage tribe would complain for 9 years for the guardianship program to be abolished, but barely any progress was made. It would take something big for the government to have to step in. White people at the time would do anything to get their hands on the wealth of the Osage. One man in particular was William Hale. Hale was a rancher in the Osage territory who on the surface seemed to be a nice guy, but on the inside he was scheming a plan to get a good part of the dough. From 1921 to 1930, Hale and his henchmen killed over 60 Osage Indians in an effort to get their hands on some of the oil rights. The government finally decided that enough was enough, and in response to the killings they sent in a team from the Bureau of Investigation. Leading this team was Agent Tom White. White was able to solve the case before Hale was able to complete his scheme, but Hale did cause a lot of destruction in the process. The success of this case led to the creation of the FBI, but that's a whole nother story. If you want more information, I recommend reading Killers of the Flower Moon by David Grann. Very good book, 10 out of 10. Nowadays, some of the Osage Nation are still in Oklahoma, carrying on their lives. They hang on to what's left of their culture, and they even have a cool website that has a bunch of information about their history and what they're doing now. The tribe still sits on top of their oil reserves and live a normal day life just as anyone else would. Well, maybe not so normal. Thank you for watching and have a great day.